Hello friends, my name is Pablo Albornoz. I am in charge of Vallejo's aviation section, Remove Before Flight. And in this video I will talk you through how to make a cockpit of a Russian Cold War fighter jet, an Su-15 Flagon. I hope you like it. The Su-15 was a twin-engine interceptor developed by the former Soviet Union in the 1960s. It was fast, easy to maintain, and very resilient, a magnificent example of a monstrous Soviet aircraft. For the cabin, we will use a fast, resilient, and simple system capable of being used without much training, using the following palette. After letting the Vallejo primer cure properly, we prepare the first base color, 50% thinner, 50% USAF light blue paint. This dilution ensures that we can apply thin layers and prevent our Spartan airbrush from getting clogged up. According to references, 3 different colors were found for the interiors of these aircraft. Of the 3, I selected an intermediate variant between one that is green-blue and another that is bright blue, typical of other aircraft such as the MiG-21. We start by putting thin layers on the areas where later we'll avoid highlighting with a lighter color. It's not necessary to make fine marksmanship with the airbrush, just make sure that the sections where the shadows are going to stand out are covered. On the seat, I am trying to create shadow, aiming the airbrush from a lower angle at about 45 degrees. Certain pieces are in black. For these, I use the black from the model color line. I prepare a different dilution at the rate of 8 drops of Vallejo thinner for each 2 of paint. This guarantees the same security and coverage of the previous dilution. It is applied in thin layers at 1.8 bar of pressure, applying one on top of the other when it is barely dry. This model color line has enormous potential in our aviation projects since the finish is completely matte. At least on these interior parts, we can dispense with using any varnish. It is completely matte finished and durability is fabulous. Here it is applied on the photo-etched part that will constitute the dashboard, which in these planes are black. These paints and their primer are able to resist the tension of flexible parts like this one. We move on to the highlighting. The worn blue will take us to the final shade. 8 drops of Vallejo thinner for every 5 of paint will give us a little more transparency, so as not to completely hide the USAF blue that we used as a background. We ensure the right dilution by seeing how it runs with some transparency in the airbrush cup. We lower the airbrush pressure to 1.5 bar, and we gently press the trigger. It is important to apply the mixture to the areas where the previous blue didn't reach, so that we get closer to it without covering it completely. We apply as far as possible at 45 degrees from the sides. That concentrates the application on the set of horizontal panels, and at the same time, the one behind it shields us. With the ejection seat, we perform the same procedure. Thin layers shot at 45 degrees all the way around, and we are not even forced to aim as long as the layers are thin and smooth. After finishing the base painting stage, we mark the accents, applying additional layers only to the surfaces that we want to highlight. The result is fine and discreet, with a certain tonal richness which we wouldn't have if we used black pre-shading. It can be seen how the two blues can be subtly appreciated. This two-tone base will discreetly enrich the whole model. We start with the panels, which in these planes are black and opaque, so we will use model color black. Which was designed to be used with the brush and therefore has great coverage. Dilute with a pinch of water to make it flow better. We hold the piece firmly and we trace the edges. It helps a lot to turn the piece and trace with the brush in the same direction. To improve the stroke, the wrist of the left hand must be supported and firm. I rely on reliefs and photographic sources to identify them. It is possible that at certain points the painting exceeds the edges, but it is not the end. These paints let us go and return to anywhere. Since the faded blue, the same color that we used for the highlighting, allows us to touch them up. All the Vallejo paints have great coverage, so we will trim the edges very easily. We will take advantage of the reliefs to do it, with the tip of the brush passing over the vertex of the angle formed by the panels. Here we can see how each panel stands out. We are tracing each panel cutout until we have them all defined. Some of the buttons and other small devices are red, for which I chose Bloody Red, a powerful color from the game color line. I load the brush generously so that the application creates a spherical shape due to physics. I paint by gently setting the brush tip in each relief. This color covers very well, even over the black. We turn to white, the primary color in almost every detail of the cabin of an Su-15. And for this, I select model color Cool White. It is surely the whitest of the brand. It is excellent for this job. It is creamy and covers very well. I do some tests on the glove. Can you see the covering power it has? And how, due to its density, it looks to create a spherical shape when applied. Perfect, right? Continuing with the method used for the red details, I go through each button. I am loading the brush less for the smaller buttons. I take advantage of the reliefs, also placing the brush at a higher angle and with less paint loaded. The final result can be retouched again and again with the worn blue until it is optimal. Another color that cannot miss is aluminum. We apply it by brush, lowering its light reflection with black. That will make it more subtle and will fit better in the set. I unload the brush before applying it, as we will seek to take advantage of the reliefs to give a subtle effect. The next thing will be to create glazes, for which we will use a very special and recommended product, the glaze medium. To a mixture of RLM02 and white, I will add the glaze medium. Having painted the seat belts a few minutes before, we focus on the most illuminated areas with the brush, noting that the Russian seat belts are green-gray or gray and not rope-colored as Western ones usually are. Then with the brush, we load the glaze medium clean, and after removing the excess, we begin to run the lighting. It can be done in complete safety, similar to the oils, but there is no need to wait a day or more for them to dry. It'll be dry in about 10 to 15 minutes. It is the extra time that this wonderful product will give us to work with acrylics, to make glazes, drips, effects. It is wonderful. The weathering will be simple and fast. For this, I first use the Oiled Earth Model Wash directly from the pot and, using a brush, apply it to the areas near the feet that will be visible once the cabin is installed. I apply it without concern. It is very easy to drain and clean. I also apply it on the sides. This product has the enormous advantage of not being aggressive and of not needing special diluents. We will only use water to dilute or clean it. With water, I will run what we applied in some areas, and in others I will clean it with a clean brush to remove excess. It is really very thin and flexible to speed up the projects of experienced modelers, and as it is completely washable, an inexperienced modeler can apply and remove it as many times as they want without risk of ruining their project by not using aggressive solutions. To finish, I will apply light gray of the same product line. This gray will help me highlight volumes and crevices. It has great capillary action and is very subtle, so we can adjust its intensity through successive layers, being able to go back, clean, and reapply whenever we see it is necessary. It is a product which, even after 2 months, we can return, and if we wanted to clean an area, we would only apply Vallejo thinner and it would disappear. When we apply this second color, running it with water will drag the previously applied color finely, adding interesting nuances to the surface. Do you remember when I told you how convenient it is to use a matte acrylic as a base? Check this out! We have finished the interior of our SU-15. It was a fast and uncomplicated job. I hope you like it. Well, friends, I hope you find this video useful. Please post any doubts or questions in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications of new videos. See you next time!